What's your favorite Christmas song of all time? For some, it's I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. For others, it's Jingle Bells. For some, it's Grandma Got Ran Over by the Reindeer. Well, today, we're beginning a short series, a Christmas series, around a song that definitely isn't one of my favorite Christmas songs, but it is one of the most famous. A love song of sorts, and in it, Mariah Carey sings, "I don't want a lot for Christmas. There's just one thing I need." Now, we all know that song. We've all heard it 1,000 times, whether it's in our cars or walking around the stores. And instantly, when we hear those sleigh bells start to ring, they start jingling away. And then Mariah hits that first note, something just kind of lights up in people. People start singing along. Maybe they're even doing a little dance. It's nostalgic. It's joyful in a way. And it's wildly and weirdly honest. Because beneath all the parties, all the decorations, the peppermint lattes, all the giving and receiving of presents, there's something deeply human about what this song expresses. And in her own way, Mariah she communicates a longing that we all share. And no matter who we are or what we say, ultimately we all just want to be loved. And not just in a general sense, but specifically, personally and presently. We want someone who shows up. We want someone who sits with us, someone who stays close to us, and not just someday, and not from a distance, but right here, right now. And when we finally name that longing, it kind of comes out a lot like what Mariah sings. All I want for Christmas is you. But it's not just a romantic idea. If we really boil it down to its basics, this is a soul level ache. We long to be close to someone who really sees us, someone who knows us, and ultimately someone who will stay with us through the good times and the bad. But the problem is, even in the middle of all the festivities, so many people, and maybe you're one of these, so many people feel unseen, unloved, and even totally unknown. And it's that ache, it's that longing. That's what Christmas is actually about. Because Christmas is the story of a God who looked for and looked at a hurting, lonely, waiting world and said, all I want for Christmas is you. Listen to how John explains this in John 1 through 5, and then down to 14. In the beginning, the Word already existed. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He existed in the beginning with God. Through him, God created everything, and nothing was created except through him. The Word gave life to everything that was created, and his life brought light to everyone. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. So the Word became human and made its home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness. And we have seen his glory, the glory of the Father's one and only Son. So unlike all the other Gospels, John reminds us that the story of Jesus doesn't really begin in a manger. It begins before time even existed. John tells us that the Word, Jesus, was with God and was in fact God. But then something unthinkable happens. God moves towards us. God doesn't send a message from beyond time and space. He doesn't send a cosmic reminder to us. He doesn't send some mystical symbol in the heavens. Rather, God, in the flesh, shows up. The Word that was used to bring everything into existence, the living expression of creation, Elohim, became flesh and made his home among us. Why? Because love can't stay distant. Love moves in close. The presence of God changes everything. Think about that just in human terms. Have you ever had someone show up for you? It's one of those moments where you didn't even realize just how much you needed it. You weren't asking for advice. You weren't looking for answers. You were just tired, or maybe overwhelmed, or maybe you were quietly falling apart. But then, out of nowhere, someone sends you a text message, or knocks on your door, or sat down next to you after church and said something like, "I don't have all the answers, but I'm here." Those moments, they stay with us, don't they? Long after the situation changes, long after all the emotions fade away, we still remember the people who show up. Fred Rogers, otherwise known as Mr. Rogers, was once asked how he responded when children were scared or when they were grieving. And he said something that, kind of stuck with me. He didn't try to explain things away. He didn't rush to try and make it better. He said, this is what he said: "I learned that what people need most in difficult moments isn't answers. It's to know they're not alone." Then he explained that's why he's on his show. That's why he slows down. He spoke gently, and he often looked right in the camera. He wasn't trying to fix the world. He just showed up in it. And that's what made him such a trustworthy individual. Christmas tells us that God didn't come to explain suffering from a distance. God came close enough to sit with us in it. God doesn't love from some distant place. God shows up. But he doesn't stop at just being present. He draws near. And that's what Christmas really reveals. Not just that God had arrived, but that God comes close. And the best part is that God isn't waiting for us to get our act together. Instead, we have a God who says, "I want to be with you where you are. I want to live where you live. I want to walk your roads. I want to know your pain. I want to laugh at your table. I want to cry with you at your loved one's graveside. I want to be with you, not just on your best days, but I want to be with you in the mess." And that's what the incarnation is all about. Emmanuel, it's a name of God that we usually only hear. It's one of Jesus' names that we usually only hear this time of year. Emmanuel, God with us. When Jesus was born, love moved closer. God's divine presence became a person. But this is the part of the Christmas story that so many of us, even those who claim to be Christ followers, completely miss out on. For example, a few days ago, I was walking through Target. It's usually a store I try to avoid, especially around any kind of holiday. But I had to go there for something. And at Christmas time, Target feels less like a store and more like a full contact sport with seasonal music. But I noticed something as I walked through that store. Everybody's cart, they all had different stuff in the carts, but everybody just kind of looked the same. Everybody was tired, grouchy, rushed, a little overwhelmed, and no one looked happy. This is supposed to be the happiest time of the year, but no one looked happy. And then I realized that these people, they weren't just shopping. They were trying to get it right. They were trying to not disappoint. They were trying to express love with things. And then it hit me that so much of our Christmas stress comes from trying to use objects to communicate something deeper to each other. But what we really want isn't the perfect gift. That's not what we really want. What we want is to grow our relationship with the person we are giving the gift to. What we're trying to communicate with gifts is, I'm here. I see you. You matter enough to me. You matter enough to me to go through Target to try and find something that I hope that you like. And that is what we see happening, in a way, in the nativity story. God has come near so that we can experience his presence, his love, his care for each and every one of us. Think back to Mariah's song. Beneath the ache in that song, here's what we find. I want someone to be with me. All I want is to not feel alone. All I want is peace. All I want is forgiveness. All I want is a new start. And Christmas, this Christmas story, that is God's response. And God responds by saying, all I want for Christmas is you. That's the gospel. Not that we finally found God, but that God came looking for us. And that's not God looking for the polished version of you. God doesn't want the Christmas card version of you. God entered creation for you, right here, right now. So what do we do with that? Here's the invitation today. Let yourself be loved. Stop resisting. Stop postponing. Stop trying to earn it. Just let yourself be found by the God who came to earth for you. And then be present with others the way that Jesus is present with you. Don't try to fix them. That's not your job. Don't try to impress them. That's not what this is about. Just show up in people's lives. Someone in your life right now needs that kind of presence. Why? Because you might be the way that God shows up for them. Imagine with me, you come home late one night, you're tired, you're carrying more stress than you ever really let on, and you kind of open the door expecting darkness, but the light's on, and someone is waiting for you. Not to scold you because you came home late or because you just seem too busy to notice them. They're not there to ask anything of you. They just say, "I'm so glad you're home." That's Christmas. God is standing in the kitchen. The light's on, his arms are wide open, saying, "Welcome home." I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you again very soon. Have a great day.